a shop creates, right? It's artisans who create. And I think that lens is appropriate for our group, right? Whether they're folks like yourself who help faculty envision and then implement for their courses, folks like Chris and Andre and Jack who take a rough cut of a video and make it into something the faculty is proud of, or folks who create assets like job aids that help faculty and occasionally help students as well navigate through UNCW's tech landscape.
Welcome to Here's the Deal, Teaching and Learning by Design, a podcast created by Jennifer Sias, a senior instructional designer in the Office of Distance Education and eLearning at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. This podcast brings together stakeholders, primarily from UNCW, to discuss best practices in teaching, learning, instructional design and technology, as well as videography, and the roles they play in strengthening online, hybrid, and web-enhanced teaching and learning environments. This podcast is produced for informational purposes, and the views expressed are those of the individual speakers and may not represent those of the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. In this, our inaugural episode, we want to provide context for the upcoming series. Episode 1 focuses on what we do in distance education and e-learning at UNCW. The voice you heard at the beginning is that of Mr. Colin Taper, Instructional Technology and Video Services Manager, who likened the work we do in DEeL to that of a shop in which artisans create. For our first episode, I spoke with each team member, starting with Dr. Jeremy Dickerson, DEeL's Assistant Provost and Professor of Instructional Technology. I asked Jeremy how he would describe what we do.
Our goal is to make the world's best online classes. We partner with faculty members to bring technology to the table and leverage those tools to make what I call the world's best online classes that are well-designed, technology-rich, student-focused, has a high level of interactivity between student to content, student to faculty, and student to student. And those of us who grew up kind of in the education world, that's not new. But if you're a subject matter expert in a discipline like, an art or science field, you've studied what you study. You've not studied curriculum. You've not studied necessarily. Anybody can have some background by taking workshops or classes or whatever, but typically you've not studied assessment and evaluation. Typically you've not studied course design. Typically you've not studied how to integrate technology meaningfully. And that's where we come in for all the faculty members at any university who've not taken those classes and trained to be a teacher or an adult educator or an educational administrator. We're kind of their gateway to those things so that we ensure that it's not just content, it's teaching content.
I also asked Jeremy to share what he does, elevator speech style.
It morphs and changes every year a little bit based on what we're up against and what the university's trying to do. My number one goal, personally, every year is to align the efforts of our office with the goals and the mission of the university. And as this is my 7th year doing it, gone through a couple different chancellors, a couple different provosts, different boards of trustees. We've had different university goals. That's all well and good, and that's normal. My goal is to watch that and say, how do we get on the bus? How do we use our resources to help accomplish those goals? Because the university's goals, the chancellor's goals, the provost's goals are our goals. And I try to take that part and I try to then balance that with the other side of the coin, which are individual faculty members' goals for their courses and their programs. On one side of my mind, I've got the professor who wants to make a great course. And on the other side of my mind, this is what the university is trying to accomplish, the big picture. And my goal is to tie those things together with our resources. In our lane, the lane that we operate in, what can I do to, on one side, support the individual faculty member and also support the university's mission and see if I can help align those with our resources. And really what I'm hoping is that students get a better product. Students get a better experience. I don't think that the student experience is separate from the faculty member's job, which is separate from the university's mission. I'm trying to always build and blend those things together and show that synergy within my lane. And that is a moving target, always trying to read the tea leaves between these powers that be and trying to balance the needs of all the stakeholders. And it may be this year I have, 10 or 12 people and a little bit of funding to support that. Next year it may be I need to go buy more technology to support that. Next year it could be I need to create some kind of program to bring in faculty to do different things or to train them on new technology. So it's a moving target, but my goal is to try to translate the needs of the administration, the students, and the faculty members through the lens of DEeL.
Dr. Dickerson provided a high-level view of the role of DEeL and his role in particular. Now, let's meet the rest of our team, starting with our instructional designers. Zach Morgan, Quality and Training Coordinator and Senior Instructional Designer, discusses what an instructional designer does.
I don't think kids sort of wake up in the morning and say, I dream of being an instructional designer. What does an instructional designer do? One is, if you see that intersection between technology and instruction, that a lot of times is where you will find instructional designers or instructional technologists working in the higher education context, because here we are often associated with, either a distance learning capacity or an instructional technology capacity. But beyond that, I think you could say, regardless of the modality, right, whether it's fully online or face-to-face with a little bit of flipped instruction, we're kind of instructional translators and maybe instructional problem solvers. And what I mean by that for translator is, right, we've got such fantastic faculty here at UNCW with teaching expertise and a passion for teaching and a passion for their discipline. And so sometimes our job is to translate that excellence from the face-to-face environment into, well, what does that look like online? Because online is a different kind of environment, and there are wonderful opportunities with teaching online. There are things that online can do better or in a more innovative way or in a more exciting or engaging way than even our face-to-face classes. But there are also real constraints and limitations and things that we have to be mindful of when we put a course online. And it's really not just kind of a conversion, right? Like many of us had to do during COVID, where we just had to get online in a hurry. There's a more intentional approach that I think our team and instructional designers in general are trained to take and to really help to translate the instruction into a format where we maximize those opportunities and where we mitigate those constraints and those possible pitfalls of online instruction. And then the other piece about problem solvers, just briefly, I think our training and our mindset is to really kind of be able to take both the nitty-gritty view kind of at the tool or the assignment level, but then also to be able to kind of take the systems perspective and think about the curriculum or think about the course design as a whole, and to think about, okay, is there a problem or an opportunity here, and how can we combine our expertise with the faculty's expertise and work together to collaboratively come up with a solution to whatever that problem is, whether it's engagement or it's rigor or it's a new opportunity or changes in the discipline. Those are probably some of our favorite conversations to have.
Brittany Denning, our project coordinator and senior instructional designer, elaborates on the definition of an instructional designer.
Building a course, designing a course, building it in Canvas, building it on paper, designing it, thinking about assessments, instructional materials, all those components that make an online course. Those are things that we can support. And I also think about the technology piece of it. So, if you're thinking, how do I record a video? What do I use to record a video? Those are things and questions that we can ask and provide you with platforms to do those things. When you're thinking about how to make things more interactive or engaging for students, those are things that we can help you with as an instructional designer. Professional development is something that we support as well. So I kind of think in our role here at UNCW, we kind of wear those three hats of course design and development, tech support, and then also supporting faculty through professional development opportunities. through our office.
And I think that support piece is so important because really it's, if you had to boil it down, it's how can we support faculty and instructional staff to help them to be able to design and deliver the best possible online and hybrid and flipped classes. And it really is that kind of service mentality, I think, of just where, sometimes that is technical support. Sometimes it's reimagining, the entire scope of a course and how it engages students and everything in between. And I think that's one of the most fun things about being an instructional designer. And on our team too, is we do get to have those different experiences and we get to engage at those different levels.
Senior instructional designer Jamie Ronan explains her work as an ID.
In my role, I primarily work with faculty to design and develop online, hybrid, and web-enhanced courses, and I also serve as one of UNCW's QM coordinators. So I lead several of our Quality Matters QM initiatives at the university. So that includes our QM Faculty Fellowship, which is newly launched this past year, as well as our Excellence in Online Education Award. And then I also help coordinate other aspects of QM, like course reviews, internal reviews, and things like that.
Our newest instructional designer, Tara Hours, also weighs in on the work IDs do.
I have to say I do many things similar to Jamie, so instead of reiterating our support of faculty, I also want to add on that both Jamie and myself work to design and develop some of our trainings that we offer faculty, so I think that's an integral role of keeping ourselves up to date on current practices, different ways to approach learning design, and spread that information to our faculty as well.
By the way, your humble narrator and podcast producer also is a senior instructional designer on the team, and my colleagues have done a splendid job in outlining what we as IDs do. Let's return to Zach and Brittany to hear about other aspects of their respective roles. That is, beyond serving as senior instructional designers, they've assumed some additional responsibilities in the past year. First, Zach.
I guess this is kind of the elevator pitch for my job, which everyone should really have, and it's a little bit of a mouthful, but I think when you look at the title Quality and Training Coordinator, there's definitely two distinct aspects that come out of that. And on the training front, really what it comes down to is our internal sort of planning for training, so organizing our training schedule, the design, the development, the delivery of all of the training that our office offers to primarily UNCW faculty and instructional staff, although there are some times where we're working with graduate students or other staff members. And I suppose under that umbrella, there's a lot of different things we do. We do regular recurring trainings that are offered on our training calendar that folks can just register for and show up via Zoom. But then we've also really branched out into doing a lot of kind of customized department trainings recently. And that's been really fun because we get to work with programs and find out what are they interested in, what are the needs for the program or for the department, and how can we kind of make a boutique faculty development session that's just for them and just for the program. And then on the quality side of that is internal and external quality. So internally, that just means thinking about how we can maximize the quality of what we deliver to campus in an efficient and a sustainable way. How can we leverage the talent of our team in the best way and make sure that everybody's having a chance to really put forward what they bring to the table on the best projects that we can offer to our different stakeholders across campus. And then, of course, externally, this really means cultivating expertise about what quality means in the context of course design and also online, hybrid, and web-enhanced or flipped teaching. And so we may get to this later in the conversation, but if folks have heard the organization Quality Matters, quality really does matter, and kind of being an expert in quality matters is a big part of this job.
And once again, Brittany.
My current role as a project coordinator does overlap, I feel like, a lot with Zach's role. Just, all of these things can be considered projects, but I feel like we work together to kind of figure out what falls in what bucket, and I think we also tag team a lot of these projects together. But I would say my role is to work with the stakeholders to either present a project that we're thinking about or an initiative our department is possibly focusing on for that year, but also projects that departments or colleges have brought to us. So my role is to kind of meet with those stakeholders, figure out what they're looking for, what those benchmark items are, what those timelines and deadlines, and then come back to our office and help build that internal team that's going to work on those projects. And those projects can be a variety of things. Course development contracts, template projects. Zach, what else have we been doing?
Workshops on curriculum mapping and alignment. Obviously, things with integrating various technology tools and, working with programs to pilot a new technology.
Yes. So all of those things Zach and I often work together to figure, as he mentioned, leverage our team's talents and figure out who would be the best fit to work on that project. And sometimes I find myself, I may be working on the project, or I may be kind of monitoring and making sure we're meeting the deadlines that we need to.
I would like to return for a moment to the voice we heard at the top of this episode, Colin Taper, who started out in DEeL as an instructional designer. Colin spoke about what he sees as a major strength of the ID team.
One way that our instructional design team is really quite strong is in the interpersonal side of the job, which as I get older, as I learn more about life, interactions among people, that really, I think, is what I've landed on as the primary skill that an instructional designer has to have, are strong interpersonal skills.
Well, I suppose one always carries one's roots with him. Colin's focus in recent years has expanded to include instructional technology and videography services within DEeL.
In my role, really what I do is support. What does it mean to support a teammate? But the majority of the work that I do is to support our videography team, and support can take a lot of different forms. So support for the video team may be something like procuring new equipment.
Andy supports our instructional technology efforts. Colin's video production team certainly is in high demand. Senior video producers Chris C. and Andre Burroughs discuss what their roles entail. First up, Chris, then Andre.
Andre and I handle all of the video needs for the distance education eLearning group here at UNCW. Primarily, we do a lot of the lecture videos over at Cameron School of Business. We handle all of the professors there. There's a giant need for online modules. And some days we do 4, 5, 6 professors might come in and record with us, and we turn those around usually within 24 to 48 hours, those edits, and they get put on Echo 360 and then linked to Canvas so that the students can view those video lecture modules. But in addition to that, we handle any other needs that anybody else on campus might have that OUR wouldn't handle, OUR, of course, being Office of University Relations. And lately, a lot of departments will go to OUR and request a video, and OUR is swamped, and they will then throw to us. So that's becoming a thing now, too, which is great. Kind of keeps us busy and improves our profile on campus.
Yeah, a lot of the daily things are just working with instructors, making sure that they get everything they need done. If we're not in the studio, we're editing.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the outstanding contributions of our longtime video producer, Jack Horn, who has produced some amazing award-winning videos for DEeL, and I hope he can join us on a future episode. One thing we haven't talked about is DEeL's role in ensuring that UNCW's online programs and licensure programs are recognized by other states. That's the purview of Sheryl Eamma, DEeL's Media and Regulation Specialist.
In my role, I focus on 2 key areas, online orientation and compliance. First, I manage the online orientation process for undergraduate distance education students. On the front end, I work closely with students, student success coordinators, and transfer admissions to address any issues with accessing the orientation. On the back end, I connect students who have completed their orientation with their advising team, and I also manage the content within the orientation modules. In terms of compliance, I handle two main responsibilities. The first involves ensuring that the university meets annual state authorization requirements so we can offer distance education programs, clinicals, and internships across state lines. The second is ensuring that our programs leading to licensure or certification comply with state and federal regulations. So to do this, I collaborate with leadership contacts and program coordinators in each of the colleges with licensure programs. The program coordinators research whether our programs meet the educational requirements for licensure or certification in each state and the U.S. territories, and then I manage their findings on the university's state authorization webpage and keep track of updates from the state legislatures.
In addition to talking to the team about what they do, I also ask them to discuss areas of growth and demand. What services are most in demand and areas where they think DEeL might grow? Without exception, each team member cited the demand for and interest in one service in particular.
Video services.
The video side.
Videos.
Instructional videography.
Video. Let's hear about what's behind the popularity of this service.
We all know video is a very effective tool to getting across a message to students or stakeholders, faculty, staff. We also have an amazingly talented team of video producers, so that definitely helped.
Colin explains a little more about how the growth in demand for video services spread.
All of the faculty and staff with whom we've worked thus far have all found us either via word of mouth or expectation within a program. And I can see those expectations only being applicable to more programs as more program leads and deans see the work that our video team does.
In a sense, Dr. Dickerson has thrown down the gauntlet, challenged us all, as well as UNCW faculty, to think about video in new and innovative ways.
Love for every online course at UNCW to have a high quality video element in it. And I said this to our chancellor recently. If someone who is not in Wilmington takes an online class with us, I want them to have the look and feel of our campus and community in that online class. Because I think our university and our city is beautiful, and we're situated up against the coast, which is rare for most universities. They may not be able to come here physically, but if they take an online class, do they feel like they've been at UNCW? I would love for us to bring that even higher. And that is not a knock on what we're doing now. I just want to expand in that direction.
Are we up to the challenge? Hear what senior video producers Chris and Andre say.
The things we can do, I feel like it's a drop in the bucket at the moment. Like there's what we can probably handle, what we can handle, will be able to handle is way greater than what we're currently handling, is what I'm trying to say. Right now, we do a lot of the lecture videos, which it's very repetitious, if you will. So we would love to explore other types of video projects. And at the moment, I feel like we're not necessarily in those because a lot of the departments don't necessarily know we can do those, right? So I think it's in the future, near future, it will be us trying to communicate to different groups within the university. Like, hey, we are skilled at video. We can create content for you to your liking. You know, why don't we have a meeting and we can discuss some of maybe the messages you want to communicate through the use of video. So I think that's where we're gonna be doing in the not too distant future here, because we're going to be acquiring some new equipment. Also, we've acquired some equipment, and we're going to be doing more, which will open up other doors for us as far as projects and what we can handle. So,
yeah, if you think about a program that it's kind of a fine line between what they're doing and what a different college is doing, and if they're doing it better. And we can enhance that by, doing some video production for them, that way, for the online students as well, those who can't be in seats. Sky's the limit, really, when it comes to what you could do.
While our video definitely is an area of growth and demand, it's not the only service we see growing. Let's hear about some of those other areas from our team. Dr. Jeremy Dickerson.
Are there new tools that are technologies that we're not doing? And what are they? Are there things that are kind of cutting edge that people are doing? And what are they? Are there new models of student engagement in online that we have yet to tap into? That's kind of research and development level right now. So you got these buckets of design, technology integration, videography, and faculty development. Go deeper in those. That's what I would start with. Beyond that, this is not an area that we currently do, but I think is of vital importance. I would love for us to think about supporting the online student more. I don't know whether that fits in our office or not, but I think the university has pockets of really good specific online student support. We are not a student-facing office right now, but if I had the funds and I had the capacity to do that, I would love to universally offer more support for online students. That would be a great thing for us to do. Now, I'm not saying we don't do that. Our office does not do that. I'm not saying our university doesn't do that, but I would love to have a higher standard that is uniform for student support. Right now, we support the faculty and they support the students.
Colin Taper.
I think there is an appetite, this is really a guess, an appetite for almost like a starter kit for more authentic assessment. I know that's kind of a jargony term, right? What is authentic? How is an assessment inauthentic? That's not an easy question to answer, but I think folks, perhaps spurred by questions regarding generative AI, have an interest in authentic assessment, and maybe the impediment is time that they have, right? And so one way you can shortcut that time is to work with an instructional designer who can have a clear vision of how to take your vision, you as the faculty, and create an assessment that is less likely to encourage the use of tools that the faculty member doesn't want to use, and in truth, more likely, and I say in truth, that's a little bit presumptive, but you know what I mean. It's more likely to achieve the academic end that the faculty member wants to achieve.
It's ironic that you bring up this topic just to me personally, because I was talking with some of our instructional designer colleagues in working with some faculty recently, particularly in clinical research, and we were talking about authentic assessments versus whatever you might consider to be inauthentic. And I was telling them that I shared with the clinical research faculty that at a previous university where I worked, I had a colleague who would sometimes talk about schoolish types of assignments as opposed to authentic. And, I think something that our instructional design and technology and video services team can offer faculty is the ability to brainstorm on different types of assignments and find a way to make it so, or find a way to maybe make those dreams become reality. As we were brainstorming with the clinical research faculty recently, they were talking about wanting to find a different way to take a discussion board assignment. And so as these students are learning about clinical research, we started brainstorming and asked, well, what if you ask them to role play a member of an IRB board who might be overseeing grant proposals and then the end products, and then also role play a researcher. And these are very possibly the roles that their students will end up serving out in the field. So finding ways to use the tools that we have to help design authentic assessments, I think, is a good service that we can offer. Zach Morgan.
I think course redesign is an area that we're going to see more and more of, and in a very kind of systematic, intentional way, to where, UNCW's been a trendsetter and a leader in rankings in terms of online programs for many years. And, those are fantastic programs and courses, but even the best car needs maintenance sometimes. And so that's, I think, an area we're going to see where programs, right, for example, professional programs, when the professional standards or competencies change, that's an opportunity to come together and look at the courses and see, right, are there updates needed here? Not only to the curriculum, but also, right, we can do things in the learning management system that maybe we couldn't do 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. And same with some of the instructional technology tools that our office supports that may not have been around when some of these courses were first developed. So I think redesign, for sure, and that can definitely exist on kind of a spectrum from small changes to larger changes. And then I think the other thing is maybe sort of quality assurance at the program level. And that doesn't have to be kind of a full-scale commitment all at once. I mean, with that said, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our Master of Science in Nursing Nurse Educator program that did get Quality Matters certification last year. The first one at UNCW, I think only the third one in the UNC system, the first nursing program to get QM certified. Huge accomplishment, huge testament to their faculty and their program coordinator, April Mathias. But I think, right, even if you're not kind of ready yet, or you're not sure as a program whether you want to go down that certification route, there are steps that you can take along the way. And that idea of program quality assurance that our office supports is really, right, it's the stuff that good programs out there are already doing anyway, and that our program coordinators across campus are already working so hard to do. But it just gives you a little bit more of a blueprint and a roadmap. And then if you do continue through that process, right, it's recognition at the end of it, right? It's a globally recognized mark of quality and recognition through Quality Matters. So it's saying, look, you're already doing this work, but maybe we can work together and make it a little bit more kind of planned out, maybe take some of the burden off of the faculty and collaborate on some of those items, and then work through a plan together to get that recognition for the things that our programs are already doing.
And once again, Tara Hours and Jamie Ronan.
There's been a lot with AI and even different faculty at other institutions like creating their own like chatbots. So I'm curious to like what aspects of AI will be pulled into in the future, what our support will look like in that field.
Definitely. I think like virtual reality too, and just I feel like all of those three, kind of video, virtual reality, AI, I feel like they're all kind of interconnected, and it'll be interesting to see how our office can support that and, you know, that growth in those areas.
Yeah. I think there's still a lot of, lack of a better word, like mushiness with it. It's not well developed yet, I think, as a concept. But learning experience design, and I think it pulls from a lot of different disciplines that are already existing. And just with conversations that I've been part of with certain faculty members, I think there's an appetite for that, but I think it's a big lift. But creating more of these experiential learning, almost like interweaving storytelling with that real world application, so it's not just you get this information that's great. I think that whole all-encompassing experience of learning. So I think that would be a fun area to learn more and explore.
Definitely. I think just leveling up like online course design and like incorporating like storytelling or gamification or just like individualized, like personalized learning paths. Like I think there's a lot of cool areas we could, you know, expand if faculty are, you know, interested in that direction. But that would be really interesting to see.
I would like to end this inaugural episode with some final sentiments shared by Tara and Jamie.
We very much enjoy collaborating with others, and I feel like there's no ask that is too big or too small. And so we love brainstorming, we love thinking outside of the box. Thinking inside the box is great too.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts of this role is working one-on-one with faculty, like specifically looking at their course and what they want to bring to it or improve. So I think just if you're interested in that, like our office is here to support you. And I think, like Tara said, there's nothing, even if you haven't a request or something, we can explore what that might look like and we can help you work it out. And we would love to support all of the faculty that want to explore that.
We hope you've enjoyed this inaugural episode of Here's the Deal, Teaching and Learning by Design at UNCW and beyond. Hosted by Jennifer Sias, a senior instructional designer, this podcast brings together stakeholders primarily from UNCW. Our intention is to produce one episode monthly, focusing on, as the title implies, teaching, learning, instructional design and technology, and videography at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Episode 1 focused on what we do. Join us next time for Episode 2, Who We Are, a deeper dive into the backgrounds and fields of expertise of the DEeL team members. Thereafter, monthly episodes will focus on special topics related to instructional design, technology, videography, teaching and learning online, and more. Stay tuned for future episodes on topics like the role of gamification in higher education, best practices in blended learning, designing effective online courses, leveraging instructional technology for engaged learning, building interactive and accessible learning materials, and more. I would like to thank DEeL's Assistant Provost and Professor of Instructional Technology, Dr. Jeremy Dickerson, for participating in this episode, along with my teammates, Colin Taper, Zach Morgan, Brittany Denning, Jamie Ronan, Tara Hours, Chris C., Andre Burroughs, and Sheryl Eamma. Many thanks to UNCW libraries, particularly the Maker Studio personnel, including Jason Fleming and others for their help as I used their state-of-the-art podcast studio, which, by the way, is available to everyone at UNCW by making an appointment at the Maker Studio online. Thanks also to OUR staff members, including Andrea Weaver, Jesse Bradley, and others, for lending me an ear and really helpful advice, and Mr. Daniel Wright, creator of the Relevate podcast, for his excellent advice. For more information and to get in touch, please visit our website, tinyurl.com/UNCWDEeL. That's tinyurl.com/UNCWDEEL. Until next time, this has been Here's the Deal by Jennifer Sias.